Hi there. Welcome to the Green Shoe Conversations. I'm Stephanie Cochran, the Executive Director for the Green Shoe Foundation, and this is episode 38. Welcome. With me today, I have a couple of my awesome team members. I've got Mr. Stephen Brinkworth. How are you, Steve?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. And I've got Miss Teresa Decker, Clinical Director. Hey, Teresa.
Hello.
We're kind of excited to share some news about Green Shoe today, something that we've been doing and developing over the last several months. We started a new parenting class for folks. So we thought we would kind of come on and share a little bit about the class, what it is and how it's been going, and how anybody can participate with the parenting class. So let's kind of introduce and talk about, the class. Teresa, you want to give us a little bit of maybe why we wanted to start a parenting class?
Certainly. Parenting is a huge part of our world, and it teaches us people are born into this world as babies, not knowing anything, is so immature. And so we need our parents to be healthy parents in order to teach us and train us and show us what it looks like to be a healthy, mature adult. And so parenting is an important facet of our community, our world. And so how we parent and how we were parented impact us. And so we wanted to give some information about what healthy, supportive parenting looks like, how we can be there for our children and nurture them and affirm them and love them, because parenting is hard. Parenting is really difficult, and growing up as a child is very difficult as well. So I think that's the reason that we want to inform people how to be a healthy, mature parent.
Right. Both those things are very, very hard. Both growing up and being the parent are two very, very hard jobs. And which is interesting, if any of our alumni, or if you've been through our retreat, if you're listening in, that on the very first day of the retreat, Teresa actually asked you to take your parent hat off. Mm-hmm. As we learn about the model and do our own work. And this class, we actually want to look at the model through the parenting lens. With that. So it is really interesting. So for anyone who's been through this is a great way to kind of just change the lens and change your focus, through the model with that. Steve, who is this class for?
This class is for practically everybody. We've had alumni participate. We've had future participants participate. We've had people who are just curious come and join us as well. And so people who have kids of any age, people who are planning to have kids, it's information that can be beneficial to help us, just like you talked about that lens, become aware of our impact as a parent on a child. And so we can, during the week, we talk about reparenting ourselves. So as a parent, I'm able to be present and in that functional adult state to be present for my kiddos.
Right. And I think that's what's so interesting too. I wish I knew some of this when I was parenting. My kids are older, but wow, to have this, to be able to, know this and to be able to even have done my own work before my kids were little would have been so helpful. Now, just because they're older doesn't mean I can't go back and do, reparenting for myself and reparenting for them. I think a term you guys like to use is that rupture and repair, that at any age, we're able to really do that. I actually have one of our slides I want to pull up, and Teresa, if you want to kind of go through this is a little bit of overview. So it kind of will give folks an idea about kind of the goals of the class and what we kind of cover as, we go through this.
Certainly. What we go over are 5 components of what it looks like to be a healthy, supportive parent. And the first one is loving responses towards your child, which is very difficult to do sometimes when your kids are throwing a fit. In fact, at our parenting class last night, when my child loses it, I lose it. And so, yes, so how can we stay present and stay as that healthy, functional adult and respond in a loving way, showing a child that they have value and worth, no matter what their behaviors are, but also doing it, setting limits in a healthy, loving way and protecting them. And so teaching them how to love themselves is when they see us responding in a loving way to them, even when they're acting out, and how to do that. And we talked a little bit about that last night. Having loving responses is not always easy because your children are going to be children and they're perfectly imperfect. They're going to make mistakes and they're just little human beings. And so teaching them that that's okay, but we get do-overs. And that's that rupture and repair that made me think we get do-overs. So the second thing we also talk about is attending to your child's needs and wants. That means putting your cell phone down, paying attention to what your child is saying, and they may not be saying anything. It may just be the look on their face, but you're attentive to them. You know what they need and what they want, or you're going to find out and you ask them. And so this teaches their child that their needs and wants matter, that they matter. All right. Teaches them also how to learn how to take care of themselves and get their needs and wants met as they get older. As they see you as a parent taking care of yourself, they learn, okay, this is how we take care of ourselves. And so by you taking care of them, meeting their needs and wants, you're showing them how to learn how to meet their needs and wants as well. And then protecting your children, teaching them what boundaries are and what they're not, what walls are, and the difference in healthy boundaries and walls, which prevents intimacy, because we want our children to feel connected to us, to attach to us in a healthy, loving way. So boundaries create safety for your children, teaching them that they can expect you to protect them from other family members and from people outside the family, protection and containment. So we talk a lot about boundaries and how you need to protect your child. That's the job, one of the jobs of a healthy, supportive parent. The next thing we talk about is verbal affirmation, how we can affirm them, praise them for who they are, not for what they do. Teach them to affirm themselves and to learn that self-esteem comes from within, but they learn it from us as parents when we affirm them. And this also creates that feeling of loving connection and warmth that they need to know that this is what it looks like to have a healthy, loving relationship with someone. So verbal affirmation is very important. Teaching them also, and I loved how Rebecca talked about, they need to see parents loving themselves, each other, I mean. And so this shows them what healthy adult relationships look like in a healthy, affirming way. And the last thing is providing structure and limits. I was just reading on the ACE Connection website about how children do so much better when they know what to expect and when they have structure in their life and when they have limits. It teaches them accountability and responsibility too, teaching them to live in moderation and not be out of control or too shut down. But they need to see that parent also live in that moderation and set those structure and limits for the child. So those are the basic components of healthy, supportive parenting that we teach during the class.
Sure. And so then we also, part of the class, we go through the 5 core issues with the model then and more in depth, but again, from that parenting lens of, self-esteem, boundaries, reality, dependency, and moderation on, as a parent, how can we both encourage and teach that to our children, as well as recognizing how we were parented and where did we learn those 5 core issues from. And we've been able to have and, host several classes, and I think I've learned as much from those that have participated too, as much as I know that they're getting, from us. And so there's been a lot of takeaways and really neat things that have come out of that. What are some of the highlights for you guys that have come out of the classes so far?
I heard some beautiful awarenesses from individuals, just like the one that Teresa mentioned yesterday with, when my kid loses it, I lose it. And it may not be an awareness of something that I enjoy or that I want to continue, but to have that awareness gives us a space to acknowledge and work on it and move forward. That rupture and repair, that I now know what is going on in that rupture, and I can work on this and repair this in that relationship. It's been beautiful to see the connections that get made in each of the parenting classes too. There's watching some of the chat go on with people getting back to each other and not just asking questions, but people who haven't met, who are expressing very personal pieces and supportive of each other too. And really beautiful.
I know sometimes as a parent, it's so supportive to hear that somebody else has either felt the same way or gone through the same experience, because you feel so alone sometimes that I'm the only one that's having to deal with this. So it's been very supportive. Teresa, what about you? Have you noticed about the classes?
Last night, I remember seeing some head nods when I talked about the isolation, and you just mentioned that through COVID and the stress that has put on parents and families and school, parents now having to become teachers and educators and not being able to do their work, that stress and overload that has just added to the difficulty of being a healthy parent, and not feeling guilty when we do lose it, and we can go back and say, I'm sorry, forgive me, that was not my best self. Let me try this again. And giving children that same opportunity and grace to say, I get another chance to do this, that it doesn't destroy the relationship I have with my children, that I can go back and repair that and try again. Every day is a new day and new opportunity to live as what we call our functional adult, and live in recovery, and also being able to recognize where my stuff and where my background, how that impacts my parenting. That's huge. And for parents to see, wow, well, I didn't have a stable home life. I don't know what it looks like. I feel lost as a parent. Well, that's because they had no one, they didn't have a healthy example. And so, but the awesome part is we can get that now, that you can reparent yourself. I love how Steve said that. You can reparent yourself as an adult, and then that makes you a better prepared to parent your children when you are taking care of yourself and you are choosing to live in the middle of those 5 core issues that we talk about in our groups every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are going to be ongoing classes. We have 2 coming up in March, and we will continue to kind of roll through, the dates. And like we talked about before, anybody can register for these parent classes, and there's no intake requirement. It's just a 2-hour class. And it's online. I don't think we talked about that, just like we're doing now. So this way, no matter where you're at, you're able to participate, and join in with us over Zoom. So if anybody is interested, they can just go to our website at greenshoe.org. And actually the first flag you'll see will be the parenting class, but you can definitely go in through the retreat page and get more information about the parenting classes and the upcoming dates that we have. So any last kind of words on the parenting class, guys?
Go ahead. What were you going to say, Steve?
I think one of the things that is so important, because it, just as you mentioned, growing up is an incredibly difficult process. Being a parent is a difficult process. And to recognize that I don't have to do it perfect all the time. None of it is perfect. And we're going to make mistakes. Those ruptures will happen. And as we learn to have that repair and go back, that we're creating new patterns moving forward that are stopping some of those patterns that we had before. We talked last night, when I've learned some of those unhealthy patterns, that I've got a couple options. I can pass it back to where I learned it, or I can pass it forward, pass it on to my kiddos. And so in reparenting ourselves, acknowledging that I'm perfectly imperfect, I'm not passing it on. I'm learning to stop that cycle. And that's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that we keep saying we're perfectly imperfect, but that especially goes for our parenting. As parents, we are perfectly imperfect, and that acceptance of that. So last words, Teresa.
I just that you all just said it beautifully, I think, just accepting our humanity, that we're human, and that we can, but what's exciting is to see all the individuals that are wanting to be better parents. That has been encouraging to me, that I want to be a better parent. That is really has been amazing to me, and that they're struggling with it, but they're acknowledging that and they're seeking help. So that's really been encouraging to me.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us. And again, this is an exciting thing for us as we kind of keep plugging away. Again, greenshoe.org if you're interested in registering for the upcoming parenting classes. And we will see y'all next week.